Good. So again, I'm showing this because I think there's some interesting lessons in this article. Again, this was a comparison of a 755 picosecond alexandrite with a diffractive lens array versus a Q-switch device with a flat optic. So again, this was 20 female patients with melasma, split phase study, Q-switch Nd:YAG 6 millimeter spot, 2.1 joules on one side, or the picosecond alexandrite with a diffractive lens array, 6 millimeter spot, 0.71 joules with multiple passes until mild erythema, 10 hertz, 10 hertz. These were weekly sessions for every 4 weeks for 3, and they were judged at 6 months with a statistical benefit with the Q-switch, but not with the picosecond alexandrite. Now, I have some issues with this, and so here they are. Number one, when you use the diffractive lens array, you do make an LIOB, okay? You basically make a little steam bubble from a plasma ball in the epidermis. It does heat, but the heat is confined to the LIOB. What you also do when you do that is you create an injury that creates cytokines, chemokines, that leads to an intense inflammatory response. And when you look at this, and this is patients we did with the flat optic, same energy, and the fractional optic, same energy. One was fractionated, one wasn't, but the same amount of injury was delivered in the tissue, 3 passes, and this was done on the bottom with the diffractive lens array, on the top with a flat optic, no fractionation. You can see here that there's a huge difference in the inflammatory response that you're seeing in the skin over a 24-hour period. In fact, the average temperature rise was almost 6 degrees C over an extended period of time. So there's an intense amount of inflammation that you're creating. And the real question is, what happens when you use the flat optic? Well, you heat. The heat remains more localized. You sometimes get a steam bubble if you have a higher fluence, but if not, what do you see on histology with the flat optic? Not much of anything. You might see a little pycnosis of some of the nuclei, maybe some contraction there. You don't see much. When you increase the energy, and this is 1.3 joules with the flat optic, you start to see little steam bubbles in the epidermis due to heat and steam bubble formation due from this device. When you take a little bit more energy in a darker skin type, you start to see bigger steam bubbles, and this is where you start to get into the issue of PIH when you do this. At higher energy yet, more in the way of epidermal damage. This will definitely create PIH and maybe a blister. So, here's a patient with melasma. Now, when you look at this patient, she was previously treated with the diffractive lens array, got worse, and so this provider switched to the flat optic, and you could see over a period of 1, 2, 4 treatments, the melasma went away, whereas before, the diffractive lens array made it worse. Yes, you can treat with the diffractive lens array, but this was a patient of mine, 1 hertz, going very slow, it was frustrating, low energy with the diffractive lens array, it improved. This is Niwat Hornicorns, one of his patients, we actually published a paper. So, again, what's going on here with the diffractive lens array? Well, if you're at 5 hertz, and especially if you look at the side around here where you're pulsing, you will overlap a little bit, but when you're at 10 hertz, you're almost guaranteed to pulse stack in the area. So, my colleague Mirko Mirkov did some modeling here with this type of energy, and you can see at 0.71 joules in a skin type 5 to 6, and if you think of melasma, it's pretty dark in that area there, maybe like a skin type 4, 5, or 6. If you pulse stack in the area at 10 hertz, you will heat the area up because these steam bubbles start going all around and you create heat that way in the epidermis. If you're at 5 hertz, you're less likely to do it. Now, if you were to turn the energy down a little bit, and even if you were at 10 hertz, you would unlikely get a significant amount of heating. So, the lesson here, look, there's no shock waves. I keep hearing this nonsense about shock waves and significant photoacoustic damage. There isn't. There's local heating. This is what picosecond devices do well. They locally heat the area, And again, when you use a flat optic, you can localize the energy to the melanosomes and damage them. The flat optic with the picosecond alexandrite also has a preferential absorption of melanin over hemoglobin. For melasma, in my opinion, the flat optic at low energy is the way I treat these days, and it minimizes the inflammatory response, which can be significant. So my experience would again suggest that we should be doing low energy picosecond alexandrite treatment for this condition. And had it been done in this study, my assumption was we would have been significantly better than the Q-switched device that was used. Thank you.